All right, everyone. Welcome to the Victory Post podcast. And today we have Lindsay. She is a IPE pro. So we're going to be talking much more about Jenny for the IPE pro card and, life in general. So, Lindsay, I want to thank you very much for coming to my podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So, as we begin, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Lindsay Benoist. So I am an IPE. I started competing pretty long time ago. I actually started when I was 18 years old. So I'm 36 years old now. Um, I started and kind of had done a couple of years, got into it, and then when I had started, they didn't even have bikini division. They only had figure fitness and women's bodybuilding. And then I kind of took some time off, about 5, 6 years, and then I had came back, and then I got and changed into the bikini division. The look had changed a little bit. So then I had gotten back into it a couple years ago.
Nice, nice. Thank you for the brief introduction. You have an amazing background, so
Thank
keep
you.
yeah, so keep it up. So now let's jump in. How many bodybuilding shows have you participated in?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I honestly hadn't even kept count.
Okay,
Um, so
roughly,
when
roughly, just
roughly, I've got to say probably at least 15.
wow,
Definitely at least 15.
wow,
So
that's
it's been a combo of fitness. I did the fitness category. I've done the figure category, um, and then bikini also too now.
oh,
So
nice, nice,
yeah.
nice. So how did you know what to really go with, either bikini or figure, or how did you decide on that?
So, when I started younger, the main thing when I kind of started was I wanted to just get into the habit of getting like going to the gym, just getting into the habit of going and having a structured plan. It helped me when I was in college playing volleyball during summertime, to get ready for preseason and to get me into shape. Um, I kind of tested the waters with a little bit of each because I was like, I don't know, do I really want to do this? The changes of the divisions they've changed over the years. It's become very, very competitive. So, I kind of took that time off and I was like, okay, I may gain some more muscle, put some more muscle on. Let's kind of see where I'm at in these like couple years that I take off and then kind of decide what look I should go with. And when I came back a couple years ago, I was like, okay, you know what? The looks really changed for bikini. Bikini is now turned into, hey, the symmetry on the top needs to be symmetrical also with the bottom. So that's how I ended up changing over to bikini. And then I had to learn all the new posing.
Yeah.
And that is totally different when you're doing fitness or figure because it's more of a militant type posing in a sense. Your quarter
Yeah.
turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn. And bikini is more, hey, flirtatious almost, but also with class and showing your shape and showing, what you truly have worked with.
Nice, nice. Thanks for explaining that. So over the years, I'm sure over your 15 shows, I'm sure you've had several coaches, right? So,
Yeah. Yes.
um, which one, um, which one did you stick too long, and why?
So when I first started, I started with a coach out of the gym I was working at the
Okay.
time. It was a good start. I didn't know anything what I was doing. I didn't know anything about tan. I didn't know anything about, bikinis or, posing or anything like that. So I started there with one of the coaches, and then I was looking to kind of switch up. I was like, I don't know if this is really fitting me, like diet wise, if this fits with my, at the time I was going to school, like, is this really helping me with school also too? I need to stay healthy. I need to also, I was playing volleyball. I'm like, I need like a certain type of diet when I'm doing all these things. Um, so I had switched to another coach and I was with him for about 4 to 5 years. He was really good. And then he he had kind of, he's still in it kind of, and he's still kind of not. And I kind of noticed that in this area that some coaches will start and then they're like, okay, I'm doing this. I do this for a little bit, and then they kind of drop off almost in a sense. So I ended up, when I changed over to bikini, I actually went with a new coach who is awesome. And I've been with her for 3 years. I've made great gains. The lifestyle that I have with it works with my career, and it also works with competing, which is, I think, super important because, hey, you've got to work in order to be able to pay for contests.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
Um, but she also used the same previous coaches that I had. We had the same coach. And then she kind of moved on, started her own thing, and she's been great. She's actually a judge. She's a judge in the NPC Federation, but really good. And it's always good to have a coach. You probably know all the things of how to, mess with carbs and fats and all that stuff. But when it comes to contest time, like, you really need to have a second eye. You just do, because sometimes you look, you take a picture and you might side by side, but you really need that person that has that eye and is like, okay, you may be holding water here, or we need to really focus on a certain area. And that's really important in a coach, and the coach that directs you the right way of, this is how we're going to do this to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And of course that's true. Because when we, I've seen a lot of people that really wants to do everything by themselves, and
Yeah.
sometimes even though you advise them not to do that, they still go ahead and do that. But for example, if you, let's say you cutting for maybe a vacation or a modeling show or anything like that, right? You can
Right.
surely coach yourself through that, right? And
Right.
if you want to use the baseline for your bodybuilding shows and say, okay, I want to use the baseline for my bodybuilding shows to do my modeling show or whatever, the amount of time you put in or the results you see is quite different from when you have a coach, right?
Oh
It's
yeah, it
quite
is.
different. Although you think you follow the diet and everything 100%, at the end
Right.
your physique is quite different. So of course you
Exactly.
you really need a coach in
Yeah,
in in a
exactly.
bodybuilding show.
I even think so, even as a nurse practitioner, and I deal with, I do some consulting for diet and exercise, but I'm looking more at lifestyle for people than, bodybuilding. I'm not a bodybuilding coach. Um, they'll always say, it's just like you said, it's always like, oh, hey, I know what to do and I can do this. I know you know what to do, but the thing is, you need that extra kick.
Yep.
If you don't have that extra kick, you're going to be in the same spot where you've always been.
Yeah. Yep. It's
So,
true. It's true.
yeah, a
Thanks.
coach is definitely needed.
Oh
And
yeah.
sometimes it takes a couple coaches to find like what really clicks with you. And you have to remember, when you're putting muscle on, it just takes time.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yep. You did mention so many interesting things during your conversation right now. For example, if you're working and you need a different diet, and all that stuff. So, my next question to you is, how is your family life in season? How is it?
My family life is, it's great. My when I first kind of started, they probably always thought it was weird. Like, if I had family, events come up, they always thought like, why is she bringing food here? Especially during contest prep.
Yeah.
Why is she bringing food? Like, we've all brought food. And I'd have to explain it. And then sometimes I think that's very hard for some families or people have, to understand, like, hey, we're getting ready for a contest. Like, I can't be eating all kinds of stuff. Like, I've got to weigh my stuff out. I can't, there's some stuff I may be able to eat here, but hey, I have to measure everything out. And it's not that I'm trying to be offensive at all of saying, hey, I don't like your food. I definitely love your food. But it's, you go in and it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't understand.
Yeah. Yep.
And you have to get over that as a person anywhere you go. Even if I was to go to some party or I was working something or I had to go to some training, and even when I was in nursing school, I brought my food everywhere. It was cooler. Everyone's always thought I was like diabetic or something. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, this is my life. Like,
Yep.
you guys have to understand the behavior patterns of eating makes a huge difference. When you get hungry, you start like grabbing everything. Hey, you've got everything right here. If you have a microwave, that's even 10 times better.
Yeah.
But you have your food, you eat, and you keep going.
Yep. 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 That's true. That's true. Um, so that raised an interesting question for you.
Yeah.
How is becoming a bodybuilder, either during when you started or when you became a pro, IPE pro, how is becoming that has affected your self image and relationships?
Um, I'm gonna say self-image and relationship. So with self-image with bodybuilding, you have to remember that when you're getting ready for a contest, you're gonna look like that for maybe a week, like your shredded, ripped look. And some people, and I love that look. I admit, I love it. Um, to me, it's just that look of, hey, that's a lot of hard work and a lot of conditioning that shows up, and that's why it's called bodybuilding. But at the end of the day, you have to remember we can't be walking around at, 6% body fat all the time.
Yeah.
So when you come off after a show, I think sometimes a lot of people have a lot of issues of how do I balance myself back out after? Well, one, you don't go off that diet like you were eating. Like you're trying to change your habits. um, and you're trying, if you want to keep going with it, and you need those areas that you need to improve on, you have to eat. You have to have to eat, and you have to put a little bit of weight on.
Yep.
I think sometimes that affects people's image sometimes of, I'm not used to being this heavy compared to the week of your show you're like, 6% body fat and you're chiseled and you got abs. Well, you have to remember, like, you have to put on that weight. You gotta put it on to get that lean muscle.
Yeah.
Relationships wise, I think you really need somebody who supports you. What family wise, you got to be around people that support you. You be around people that, hey, even if they're not doing a contest and they're like, hey, I want to go to the gym with you, let them go to the gym with you. You may not be working out or doing the same thing, but you want that same kind of energy around you. You don't want somebody who's like, God, you're always at the gym. You never have time for me. Well, no, we don't have time for that. Like, you're trying to get to a goal and achieve something.
Yep.
Go and do it. And, you should be saying, hey, you should be in on this too. Like, this is a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Of course. Yep. So that's good. That's good. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing
Yeah.
that. Um, so now I want us to dive a little bit more into NANBF. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so how did you hear about NANBF?
So I actually did the first NANBF show I did was back in 2009. I did Keith Hunter's show.
Oh,
It was down at, I believe it was like the Roberts Orpheum Theater down in St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis. So I went to that show, and every show is kind of different, but my goal is always try to come into top three. If I can try and roll into top three, I'm happy. I mean,
yep.
when you're competing and you want to come in that top three, that's like a great spot. So I did an NANBF show. I won first in my class. I went into the overall, and we were up on stage forever, I remember, and we were turning and turning. I'm like, can we just, like, somebody just make a decision? Like, come on. And it was for the overall free pro card. I didn't win. And this was actually the year before I went to nursing school, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's all right. I'm gonna take some time off. And I did. I went to school and all that stuff, and continue to work out, continue to, keep going, doing whatever. And then I jumped back into doing an NANBF bikini show about 2 years ago, and I did the one out in St. Charles, at Ameristar. I believe it's John and Becky's show. I
Yep.
did the Gateway, and I didn't win on, or was it? No, it was Keith's show. Keith's show again. I went back to Keith's show.
Key
Keith had
show.
it in a star. I went back to Keith's show.
Okay.
And this was 2021, I believe. 20 or 20. I can't remember the years. But anyways, I went back onto stage. I didn't win. I got second place in my class. And I was like, okay, no big deal. I was like, I'm gonna go back again. I went back a couple months later, improved on some things. I came back and I won the overall.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, sometimes, it always depends too who shows up.
Yeah.
That's one
Yep.
thing. The judges have a criteria that they need to go by. Sometimes you don't know what judge is judging, and it all depends half the time on who shows up to the show. You could have a real stacked class. You could have maybe not a stacked class. Sometimes they go maybe with a little bit of a softer look. Sometimes they go with a little bit more conditioned look. And I think sometimes that's kind of the hardest part because you just don't know who's going to be at the show. But
Yep.
you just show up and you look your best, and that's the thing about it.
Yeah. And as you said, of course, you don't know what the judges always want, right? Maybe they want a
Exactly.
softer look. Maybe they want a very lean chiseled look and everything. So you don't know, right? So
Exactly.
it's very tough. It's very tough. Okay. Okay. All right. So as you said, you placed second. You came back and you placed first. What changes did you do between those two?
The changes that I had done, I improved on. The first show I came into, or that I didn't win when I went to Keith's show, it was my tan wasn't good. I
Okay.
had a bad tan, honestly, and I was like, okay, not the greatest tan. Also, I came in a little bit probably too hard for a bikini, and that happens. Um, I wasn't punished for it at all, but that's what, they were going with the criteria. So the next show, I didn't come in as hard. My tan was better. I improved on a little bit more on my posing. I mean, you can always improve on posing. Each show, you just get better and better at it.
Yep.
Um, and then that's how I basically like moved up that one spot that I just
Yeah.
needed.
Yep. 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 Good. Good. It's always good to know what you really know to get better, right?
Yeah.
So when you were done with the show, okay, when you placed second, did you wait and ask the judges what to do next, what to improve on, or did you just leave and what did you do? What did you do?
Normally, well, because it's nice with theirs, they'll email you. You
Okay.
pay, I think, $5 or $10 or something like
Okay.
that when you go to registration.
Yeah.
I always want feedback. So I don't care if I place first place. I don't care if I place overall. You always have some type of improvement with shows. Um, so I didn't talk right away after, and sometimes it's good not to talk right after because sometimes you're not seeing until, the pictures come out, you look at the comparison pictures. Um, you're better off sometimes just waiting for the feedback and then talking to the judges.
Okay.
It kind of
All
just
right.
depends on, I'm going to say it almost depends on the mood that you're in.
Yeah.
You could
Yep.
be just really dieted down and real crabby,
Yeah.
or you could
Yep.
be really excited. So, and they see so many people. I really don't like to talk to them right after because one, they're looking at people in all different classes all day long. And that is, it's really a hard job to do. You got to pay attention. You're sitting there comparing, you're seeing everybody who looks great on stage. So I normally wait till they email me back, or if I run into them in the hallway or something at the hotel, I say hello, ask them, hey, thanks, thank them, thanks for judging. Is there anything that I can improve on that you saw on me or something? And normally they'll take the time for that, but I normally wait till after I get the email.
Good. Great. Great. Great info. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So there are so many natural shows right now, right? So many natural shows, so many federations, like the OCB, the NFP, or whatever. There are so many. There are so many. How
Right.
do you? Why do you continue to stick with NANBF IPE? Why?
Um, I honestly have never ventured out into any other of the natural federations.
Okay.
I'm not very familiar with the promoters of it. Number one, I've been to John and Becky's show like years and years ago,
Okay.
and I was familiar with the show. I was familiar with, them. I'm also familiar with Keith, who's from St. Louis. I'm familiarized with those people. Um, I probably, some people always ask me, like, are you going to do like a different natural federation? I don't know, maybe in the future, but I don't see anything as of right now. The shows that are posted through NANBF, they're not super, super far away. And sometimes I think that has an effect of what shows you do. Some people are on a budget. They want
Yeah.
to be closer to home, or they want their family to come, or they want their friends to come, or, traveling is expensive. So I like it because it's within this area. It's through the Midwest region. And I've had a great experience basically at all the shows I've ever done. And they can be really long days.
Yep. Yep. It can be for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So this is an interesting conversation. I like that. I like to hear different point of view. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what did earning your IPE Pro card meant to you?
It meant a lot to me because I basically have done a couple shows, and I was always, when I had done a couple of the NANBF shows, I was always like 1 point away from getting a pro card. And I was just like, oh, come on, I like almost have it. So it made me super eager to like keep going back. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna get there. And some people can just go and they look great and they win their card the first time. I mean, that's wonderful. But me, I'm like, hey, I've been working hard. I want to really win that card. I also wanted to compete on a pro level also too. It's a bigger game when you go on a pro level. It's way more competitive. You've got people that have probably been competing for years and years and years also. So that's the exciting part about it also.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Um, so let's focus more on your meals or your meal prep during
Yeah,
in season. Okay, let's focus more on that. So your last IPE show, I think that was the Worlds, right?
it was Worlds. Yeah, in
Yeah, that was the
October.
Worlds. Okay. Can you walk us through some of your meals that you ate during this prep?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I ate like 5 meals a day, 5 smaller meals a day. Um, Probably about the last 4 to 5 weeks. I have a cheat meal normally once a week. My last 4 weeks, I didn't have a cheat meal. I kind of just cut those out. Um, and then carbs wise, I had carbs, and then probably, at the beginning, everyone's probably like, "Oh my gosh, you have bread in your diet." Yeah, I eat bread. I have a bagel actually every morning. But probably more towards the end, towards those last 4 weeks, we start cutting that out, replace it with oatmeal. Um, no dairy anymore. And I normally will do like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, kind of on my normal routine. And then once we kind of get closer, we cut the dairy out, replace it with, protein shakes with almond milk, um, cut down the carbs, and then the week of the show and you start carbing right back up.
Nice.
So nothing that, everyone probably doesn't already do.
Except
But
except maybe for the
it's those bland carbs we all love, like rice cakes that taste like cardboard.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Except maybe for the bagel, cause man, I'll
Exactly.
kill to
Yeah, the
eat bagels.
the best thing ever. It's those small things you're really thankful for. You're like, oh, I get granola today. Oh my gosh, I get a bagel. This is wonderful.
Yep, yep, yep. So, did you have any cheat meal during your prep?
Yeah. Yeah. I normally do, I have a cheat meal. Because I probably start my prep probably about 12 weeks
Stuff
out.
is out. Okay.
And I am one of those people where Like I'm gonna gain my weight like during that off season, of course, but I'm gonna be in a certain amount of weight. I'm not gonna gain too much weight. When you start gaining too much weight, it's harder and harder for your metabolism to go up and to get that extra weight off. So it's good to be in a balanced weight to where you're able to lift heavier, eat a little bit more to add more size. Probably about, like I said, up until probably my last 4 weeks, I have a cheat meal. Uh,
Okay.
and it's almost like I can feel that I need that cheat meal. And my cheat meal to go to is a cheeseburger. I freaking love
Cheeseburger. That's it.
cheeseburger.
Which one? Which one? Do you go to In and Out Burger or where do you go to?
You don't have In-N-Out burgers here, but
Oh.
there's a place in South County. It's really good. It's called Concord Grill, and
Mm.
that is the best burger I think I've ever had.
Wow.
Really, really good. So I definitely and I highly recommend that place. And it's literally a whole menu of different types of burgers.
Nice. Well, when I come back to Missouri, I would have to try that then.
Yeah,
Surely will have to.
you'll really like it. You'll be like,
Yeah,
wow, that's
Conquest
a burger.
Burger.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. So, now let's shift our attention a little bit to training.
Yeah.
Now during your prep, what training do you do?
During prep,
Mm.
so I kind of keep I so cardio, I really don't bump up my cardio and probably until about my last 6 weeks. So I normally do off season wise. A lot of people are probably like, oh my gosh, you like rarely do any cardio. Like off season wise, I only do cardio twice a week for probably 15 to 20 minutes. When I'm getting ready for a show, like my current cardio now is like I'm doing 3 days a week for 35 minutes and it's high intensity. And I like doing plyometric training for cardio.
Okay.
I'm not really a good person on doing machines. I may do that maybe once a week of that, but I'd rather be doing more high intensity because that really just shreds your muscle. You
Yeah.
feel the burn, you really get cut. It feels great. The other thing is I split up my body parts. So my main thing right now is I've been trying to work on growing my glutes. So I've been working that out twice a week. And then I have my upper body days and really focusing on shoulders and back to really give that nice V shape.
Yep.
And then also abs. I do abs twice a week because, the whole thing, you want to get that small waist. You want to come in nice and tight with a nice wide frame and a small waist. I mean, it's awesome.
Nice. 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 Thanks for sharing that as well. Thanks for sharing that. So now, what advice would you have for any novice beginning to compete or even trying to come up with the idea to compete? What advice do you have for them?
My advice would be definitely hire a coach before you compete because one, you have a better experience with it. Um, you have some guidance of, hey, this is what you do instead of getting on the internet and Googling everything and saying, hey, what do I need for this? What do I need for that? How do I do this? What do I do for that? It's really important to have a coach. The other thing is if you do a show, you definitely, set an expectation for yourself, like what you want to be. Don't go up and look at the old show from last year's pictures and see what girl won. I mean, that's something you don't want to do. That's
Yeah.
like a whole body dysmorphia type thing for your mind. Don't do that. Like what's your goal? Do you want to lose like your 15, 20 pounds? Do you want to get tighter abs? What's the look that you're trying to achieve? Not what does this person look like who won the class?
Yep.
So that's something I would definitely give advice to about doing a show the first time. And if you like it, keep going with it. Stick with your coach maybe a little bit, or, if you're not liking the experience of it, maybe you need to switch coaches.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Nice. So yeah, thank you for sharing that as well. And for everyone listening, I want to, tell you that this is great tips that you can put in your daily life to succeed. So if you want to listen more, just go to my YouTube and you can find this video. Okay. My last question for you before we leave is, so do you have anyone, maybe during your bodybuilding prep or even in life, do you have anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, yeah. Um, Definitely my coach, Ange. Angie Coleman's awesome. I've been with her for a couple years now. Great. We click together great. She's awesome. Also, I really wanted to give a shout out to my family because they're very supportive. They understand now because all of this has gone on for so many years of
Yeah.
me bringing food to family events. They're very, very supportive. And then if they can't be at a show, they're always texting me right after, like, hey, how did you do? Send pictures. We must see what's going on. So yes, they're awesome. The support that I get from my family, friends, and coach, like this is what makes the sport fun to me.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Of course, it's true. So yeah, thank you for sharing all this. And my show as a promoter is coming on in November 11th, and
Yeah.
I would really want you to think about this, but I want you to be a test judge if you want to. You can come over test judge the show if you want to. But yeah, if you want to, just let me know, and I'm gonna let Becky and John know as well.
Okay.
So
Sounds great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. So thank you for coming to my podcast, and for everyone watching, thank you also for coming. I will
Yeah.
see you all during the next episode. So Lindsay, again, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.